Welcome to Daily Plunge. We are in the book of Job, chapter 11, verses 1 through 20. The third wise guy shows up. Zophar is there to comfort Job and begins by attacking him. Yeah, he says, you chatter away with empty words. You are a babbling mocker of God. And he says, I'm offended by you. And so then he goes on to verse 4 to attack him and say you have this full theology. You say that you are without sin, that you are pure. And neither of those things are things that Job claims. Job is an agonizing, desperate man who is grappling with God in the midst of suffering, trying to understand it. He's not saying he has all the answers. And he never says that he's sinless. What he says is he's blameless. And what he's saying is that what you see on the outside is the same as what's on the inside, that he is genuine. He has genuine integrity with God, and he trusts God. Now, Zophar picks up in verse 5 and says, how I wish God would speak, but since I'm impatient, I'll just jump in and speak for God. Which is funny because in Job 42, the Lord will say, these three wise guys do not speak for me. They presume to, but all they utter are false words. Now, he goes on in verse 6 at the end of this to say, that God would disclose the secrets of wisdom, for true wisdom has two sides, manifold sides. And he speaks about that God's ways are higher than heaven and deeper than the deepest depths. And in a way, what Zophar is saying is if you would just try to find out the deep things of God, you would come to understand that knowledge is power and faith ends in reason, that he would get his way out of this. But faith doesn't end in reason. Reason comes to limits. Faith is about working out the law, or reason is about working out the law. Faith ends in hope, and it ends in the assurance of what God promises. Now, he goes on in verse 6 and verse 11 to say, again, he's comforting Job and says, you're a sinner. And God has forgiven some of your sin, but he's not going to be deceived. And he knows who you truly are. And when he sees evil, doesn't God take note? Yes, he does. And so he's saying to Job, you got what you deserved. That's his comfort. And then in verse 12, he says, the witless can no more become wise. He's accusing Job of being witless and then makes a joke, like, can a jackass be born to a human? And I think he thinks that of Job. And then we get to verse 13. And Zophar says, if. And one of the things I'm trying to teach you is to slow down and read all the words, because they all have an import to the understanding. If you will devote your heart, if you will stretch out your hands, if you put away the sin that you're doing, if you allow no evil to dwell in your hearts, then God will bless you. Then you can lift up your face, be secure, have no fear, lie down in peace. You forget your misery and life will be brighter and you'll have hope. And this is the same temptation that Satan offers. It's a quid pro quo. The only reason that he's saying that anyone would worship you, glorify you, God, is because you bless them. And God says, well, let's take a look at this. And then begins the innocent suffering of Job. I think one of the things to come away with is that when we are engaged in innocent suffering, we're not abandoned. And quite honestly, the presence of God is there and maybe more strongly there than in any other time, just like when Jesus was on the cross. Well, thanks, my friends. Have a blessed day.